Buenas noches, Simon Dan. So, I was doing stuff for tomorrow, so I bring up the speed of light again. And do you remember that explanation you gave me for the solar eclipse and light taking 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get here from the sun? It wasn't an explanation. It was, but it was very vague. Gravity, okay? So you pick up on my gravity thing. And again, what you say, you're saying it, but you don't prove anything. You're sat there, it's just words. But then you say, we have measured it. So if we drop this, and another one exactly the same size as this, same weight, one in a vacuum chamber, and this one not in a vacuum chamber, and I don't know, 20 meters. You'd think the one in the vacuum chamber would travel slightly faster because there's no air resistance.
Yes, that's precisely what we predict. In fact, physicists don't just think that would happen. We've measured it countless times. The object in the vacuum reaches the ground sooner because you've removed the upward drag force caused by the air. The gravitational acceleration hasn't changed. The only thing that's changed is that one object has another force opposing its motion whilst the other doesn't. But air resistance doesn't depend only on the air. It also depends on the other object's shape, surface area and speed. A feather has enormous surface area compared to its weight, so the drag force is huge compared to its weight. A rock has a much smaller surface area compared to its weight, so the drag force is tiny relative to the downward gravitational force. It is the ratio here that matters.
Prove it. How do you prove it, Dan? It's all very well to say it's the ratio that matters, but this was about gravity, right? And I'm going on about density and buoyancy. The reason I'm starting to be so convinced about the opposite of what science keeps telling us is because of the lies. The lies are, there's a string of them. And every time me and you do this, you never prove anything. You just sit there and talk, and you have empirical evidence, historical, yada, 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 but never any evidence. Now, gravity, right? You're so convinced. I repeat, I'm going to say it, because I've thought about this on a personal level. I don't listen to what the scientists tell me and agree. I'm the opposite, right? Because some things are really obvious. Gravity and density and buoyancy, right? It doesn't matter what you say, and quite frankly, it doesn't matter what I say. But nobody can prove, and it hasn't been proven, Simon Dan. The ground is where things stop, right? Now, you say that that's gravity, but I say the only reason it's falling is because it is denser than the medium it's in. If this hit water, poof, it would start to float because of buoyancy, right? And you agree, go, yeah, well, we've measured. You haven't measured anything, mate. Have you seen, you must have seen this one, right? The anvil floating in mercury.
All right, so here's my 110-pound iron-working anvil. I think we got this for making horseshoes and stuff back when we had horses. So let's set it in here and see if it floats. Okay, it doesn't seem to want to stay upright. I'll just let it tip over. There it is. It's floating. Look at that. The iron anvil floats because mercury has a density nearly twice that of iron. In fact, due to the density ratios, the iron actually floats better than wood does in water.
Now again, you can easily say, yeah, well, gravity is pulling it down, and because the iron anvil is more buoyant than mercury, it floats. It stays up, the buoyancy. Yeah. And that is exactly what I'm saying. Just that there is no gravitational force as such. You've got the round spinning thing going on, haven't you? I don't anymore. I'm all for flat now because the round is ridiculous. And it kind of goes hand in hand with the NASA moon landings. Seriously? Look, there's two things going on here. It's science and people who are waking up to the science, right? When science tells people that it doesn't care about their common sense, you don't think that that is a red flag. Well, you obviously don't, because you're siding on the side of science, aren't you? You cannot prove that everything drops to the ground, and that all depends on whether something is denser than the medium that it's in, or not as dense as the medium it's in. Anything that has a buoyancy aspect to it and is lighter than the medium that it's in is going to rise. You cannot say, well, it's rising because it's buoyant enough that it's stronger than gravity and is going up. Helium balloons, for example. Again, the only thing that you fall back on that kind of saves you every time is historical data. Einstein, Newton, this, that. I don't even believe Newton was real. He got gravity wrong on the moon, didn't he? That's what I was going to get to after your bit of gravity. You are convinced that the moon is pulling on the oceans and, well, I was going to say the seas, but it doesn't, the enclosed ones. Simon Dan, you think it's topography, don't you? You think it's topography, the underground features of Earth under the water, that is making the Bay of Fundy rise fast because it's narrow, but it's not really that narrow. If you look at proper footage, you see it's flat. Your explanation, Dan, for why the Bay of Fundy, Ungava Bay, the Bristol Channel, and the Cook Inlet in Alaska, why is it that if the moon is orbiting us, right, around the equator, and we're spinning, so it looks like the moon's going from east to west, right, why is it that the 4 highest tides are all way up north? I mean, this is the thing that gets me. This is the thing that gets me. You're going to rely on empirical evidence like Newton. That's Norway there, right? Now there's the UK, Bristol Channel. We've got the Bay of Fundy, Ungava Bay, and the Cook Inlet in Alaska. We won't talk about Los Gallegos in Argentina being the 5th highest tide on Earth. The logical reason, Dan, you're going to say topography and you're going to rely on previous, I don't know, studies and peer-reviewed probably. BS. BS. Don't believe a word of it. Why is it, Dan, that anywhere, I don't know if you've fished in the ocean, in tidal waters, whenever the tide comes in, right, and you get that slack, we've spoken about this, you get that slack water period. So tide comes in, 6 hours or whatever it is, stops, it can stay as slack water for 5 minutes to an hour. 5 minutes to an hour. I have fished in it loads of times. And you always used to say, that's weird. But because I had no idea that there was an alternative to the spinning globe, I never really gave it much thought. But so many things have clicked now. How is it that the water can come up, stay for an hour, not move, nothing, and then when it drops back the same way that it came? Where does your bulge? How does your spinning globe and your orbiting us moon, how does this, right, happening, cater for a 1 hour pause in the water? And believe you me, it's all over Earth. It doesn't happen, this myth that wherever the moon is, it's high tide. That's rubbish. There is no pattern. You will not find a pattern. What people need to do, instead of trusting the stuff they're reading, find the moon when it's in your sky. Bang, directly above you. And then you see what time your local high tide is. After you've seen where the moon is at, then the next night, boom, moon first. And then look at your tide chart, see what the high tide is for next day, and it will be like, well, that's a bit weird because it's not the same as it was last night. Third night, moon, right, same spot, boom, high tide for that day. Hello. And you'll find that there is no pattern. You'll come up with that we've known for thousands of years. Rubbish. Rubbish. No, you haven't. Nothing you can say is worth more than what I'm saying. The only difference is you have got lies that have been told before and you're using them as your backup. But the lies have been going on for so long, mate, but people are waking up to them. Moon landings, gravity, round. She's flat, mate. She's flat. There is no curvature, Dan. There is no curvature. Look, I really hope that's a wrap. The timing wasn't bad. That's going to be my tomorrow thing, because it's so obvious that there is no light delay, because the moon and the sun during solar eclipse, Dan, why is it that the sun is directly behind the moon? Why is it that it seems like the moon is blocking the light source, not photons that have been traveling for 8 minutes and 20 seconds to get here, and the moon is blocking those? Because if that were the case, the sun would not be there, because there is an 8 minute and 20 second gap, and that equates to 2.08 degrees. So you keep relying on your empirical, historical evidence. People are waking up to it. All right, and it's good to see me on your show again. Laters, Dan.